Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review. Because today we're getting ready to jump into Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which is coming to theaters November 11th. You should already know that, but in case you didn't, just throw that information out there for you.
Right.
This is my second time checking out the film. Terrell finally got his chance to check it out at the press screening today. And we're here to give you a spoiler-ish review. We both have non-spoiler reviews, so a ton of content available for you to check out in terms of this film without spoiling anything. But there are some specifics within this film that we do want to kind of talk about. A lot of the hot questions that you all have been asking about from the social media reactions, from the stuff we got posted on in regards to that, and a quick video social reaction that's posted, the tweets, all that other good stuff. And now that the embargo has lifted and now that folks have had a chance to see it, why not talk about some of the things you all have been asking about? But just in case you have not seen either of our spoiler reviews, non-spoiler reviews, let's just start off by a quick assessment of the film. Terrell, what did you think, sir?
Jeez, man, man, when you research the word art, I think Wakanda Forever is going to be next to it as the preview of how every movie should look going forward. Man, this movie is just absolutely shot beautifully. Like Ryan Coogler has an eye for this, and I feel like Wakanda Forever really let him expand his vision, his view of the world, Wakanda in general, and they let him play in another sandbox and expand that as well. And it was just absolutely shot beautifully. Like it, I mean, geez, like just the cinematography alone is enough to bring a tear to the eye. The overall story, I mean, like it was just so many questions of where this could go, what it could be, and I feel like they did it justice. I mean, there was no other way to do it. I mean, the story is focused on the Wakandan people and where do we go going forward with everything that's going on, because we ever since we left after the blip situation, where does Wakanda stand and what's going on? And I think they do an amazing job. They pick it up with absolutely no problem, and I feel like every character has their chance to express how they feel. Everybody has their moment where they can express how they felt about Chadwick and everything like that through the movie, and they did a really good job, respectfully, doing that. I need it's a definite second or third seat for me. Just take everybody to see it and stuff like that. It was just beautiful. It was beautiful.
No doubt. It's the first time I seen it. Definitely like very emotional. The second time I wasn't emotional in certain parts of the film that I was emotional. So I will say that that first watch definitely gives you that element of surprise. Because there's a lot of questions. You brought up Chadwick. And obviously his passing in life, how would the character be handled?
Right.
But beyond that, they had two different services here, because not only did they have to handle a character, they wanted to honor the actor. And the first 5 to 10 minutes in the film, they handle it beautifully.
Right.
And the first time, not really sure how, and then seeing it being executed, complete tears. The second time, now knowing how it's going to be handled and watching it, you're right. It's artistry at its best. It's very much telling to the person he is. And I say this is a spoiler review, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about my personal feelings about it in detail. And when Chadwick got sick, a lot of people didn't know. Very, 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 very small circle of people knew. I'm going to assume his wife,
Oh yeah.
and no one else of anybody that we know. Because when you heard from folks like Denai and Lupita and Ryan, a lot of folks didn't know. And you can even go up as far as Kevin Foggy. None of these people knew.
Right.
And that's because that's just the person he was. He wanted to do the work. He wanted to not have the tension really be drawn on him. He did a lot of really, really good things in his final days on Earth. But he never made the attention on him. And I think, in true honor of him as a person, then you start to think, well, what can we do with the character? And that's the same method that they use with the character, where we come to find out that T'Challa has an illness and no one sort of knew, and they kind of are trying to work at the last moment.
Right.
Shuri's trying to come together to do something to save her brother, and it's too late. And we learned down the line that he had devised a plan. And he didn't want I don't want to give this away yet, but he devised a plan where he wanted the celebration of his life to be handled in the way it was handled, where a core small group of people knew and
Mm.
no one else did. And that's where I started to get mad in terms of people's like comments about, oh, why did they do it this way? You literally, it wrote itself. Essentially, you literally took what happened in his life and said, we actually can use this. I
Right.
mean, I say he's my hero all the time because he did heroic things, but how he went out is like a page out of a superhero movie. Like, my man went out and did charitable things. He did the work. He didn't want anybody to sit there and felt sorry for him. He took a beating online from folks that's being idiots. Y'all same idiots are still doing the same thing over and over again to
Right.
other people. And then when it was all said and done, we lost a not just a great person, but we lost a hero. And I think like it's the same feeling going into this, where it's just like he did a lot. We see and hear from all the things that he's done within Wakanda, and we see the entire all the communities come out to celebrate him. And he has this mural, which is really dope. Which they also have a mural that around Howard University. I just think that like it's hard to argue the handling of this character when the handling of the character is completely almost a parallel to his real life. So like with that, I feel like Ryan and the crew, with the utmost honor, dignity, respect, and love, they absolutely nailed the handling of the two biggest questions we had into going into this film.
For sure. Yeah, I think people are more so letting the fictional version of him affect how it's handled in real life. Like, oh yeah, Black Panther is this. Like, none of that matters. You know what I mean? Like, like what they already said. From day one, we're not recasting that role. Like, that's just not happening. Like,
Yeah.
respectfully, like it's not just it's certain things in the MCU. Like, obviously we recast in the past, but this in particular, like we're not recasting that role out of respect for him, respect for the family, and whatever. It means more to them than just a paycheck, a role, or whatever like that. But now he is going to be eternally, in this movie. He's always going to be known as the one of the Black Panthers, the Black Panther. Within this movie. So I don't think there's really too much argument about how they should have handled it, other than as respectful as they did in this movie. I mean, it was like, all right, we said what we said. Let's move on.
Yeah.
It's no need to linger on it. Let's not devise it. Because in my head, the theory was like, okay, they're gonna have him go out in a fight or something like that. They're just gonna have somebody in the suit or whatever the case was, and show him get and shoot. But no, it was just like, no, this is how we handled it. Shuri tried to try to save him, and we're gonna move on and get to the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and the last thing is too, I mean, they addressed it as a unknown illness, which
right,
means that like you can't label how could this happen to T'Challa. We don't know because we don't know what the illness is, and it doesn't need to be described because
right,
for all we knew, Chadwick would have never said what his illness was too. He would have just went out and it just would have been what it is. But because of how medical things are done, and obviously people are trying to look for any bit of information they can online, we knew something that he was battling for years. But for the years that he was battling, he also kept it a secret. And again, it's the same thing. Yes, does Queen Ramonda probably know what it was? Probably so. Did Shuri? Probably so. But it's so close intertwined with this family, it's not important for that information to go out.
right.
So like, I love the handling of it. There's a little bit more we're going to add to it in a second, but yeah. To me, I think when you talk about the standouts in this film, a couple of names easily jump out to me. T-Nac Huerta as Namor. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, killed it, killed it.
Oh man. I mean, I've never seen a performance of a villain, questionable,
Yeah,
question
I
mark,
wasn't. Yeah,
of of somebody who comes off so charming, so likable, almost seductive, where it's like you're like king to his charm, but he's menacing and he's pulverizing. And at any given point, the things he say in a threat, you completely eat up and say, "Yep, I don't even need to see it to know that he's a man of his words." And I think the introduction of this character, the handling of this character, the performance, I think knowing that we're going to get more Namor going down the line. Oh my goodness. What a performance, what a character, up and down the board, from the aerial visuals to the
Oh, that was
underwater
amazing.
work, and everything, the combat. And then when you start talking about, power sets, I mean, we heard in different interviews that Ryan Coogler say he's the strongest the Hulk, he's the strongest Thor. But then also why can't I think of his name right now?
Which one, Namor or the
No. Winston Duke, and Mbaku.
Baku?
Heard
Yeah.
Mbaku said, "Yo, he has the strength of the Hawk." So like we're establishing that we have this person that is as fast as they come, that literally gave the Black Panther the ultimate fight, and it's just now touching the surface, probably pun intended there, with what he can do. And
Right.
it's going to be it's man, I cannot wait to see, especially with all of the comic book implications. It's definitely going to be some interesting things they possibly can do with this character. But I gotta say, man, the character is being handled amazingly by Tinoch, and I just cannot wait to see what happens next. But
Yeah,
literally one of my standouts in this film.
I can't ever say that he was on my list of casting choices for Namor. Like he was definitely like unknown to me and pretty sure for the rest of the world. But now he's going to be,
Unless you watch
you
Narcos.
know, but he's definitely going to be on the top of the list going forward. And you're going to see him a lot more. I mean, like you said, a lot of displaying his power set and what he could do. I'm assuming like majority of like the scenes where you see him in flight and bouncing in the air is CG, but it actually feels like whoever the CG department was, shout out to them. Like it felt like that had a lot of weight to it, to that CG or whatever interacting with objects in the real world, and they did an amazing job of just showing him flawlessly, just bouncing through the air, flying, and just tearing everything up. Man, it was amazing. Like it was really really cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, stand out.
Yeah. Letitia Wright and Angela Bassett, I think when you talk about just pure performances, I mean,
Oscars.
emotional, powerful. Yeah. And I said that about Angela in my first viewing, that like Oscars for sure. I know there's the hurdle of it being a superhero film, but I mean, like, Angela is top tier talent. And if there's anybody that can break through this barrier, it would be her. But I got to say also, because we expect that from Angela Bassett, but Letitia Wright, who had just dealt with endless scrutiny with this film,
Oh yeah.
completely came in, and not only was she just amazing in terms of just her performance and just handling of everything she has to handle. I think it's very, very, very easy to clear, very easily to see and very clear that there's a lot of raw emotion in this as well too. You're talking about the closing shot of the film. You're talking about the beginning shot of the film. Like, there's pure raw emotion in her performance, which I think all of us can relate to. I mean, if you have any bit of heart, you look at just her in the scenes, and we're getting these, like, especially the final shot where she's
Yeah.
sitting on the beach and you got the sun glare in the back, and we're seeing
Beautiful.
her kind of reflect. It's a beautiful shot, but
Beautiful.
man, you get choked up looking at it. And she's a phenomenal actor. But at that scene right there, there's no acting. There's absolutely no acting. That's just they probably say, "Hey, sit here," and the movie's done. And I can almost imagine that was just something that they just was just sitting back chilling, and somebody just had the camera on her, and they was like, "Yo, we got to use this. Like, this is good," because like it's just so raw. And I think it's also like it's reflected for us as the viewers as well too. Like, we got through the movie, and you sit back and you kind of decompress, like, yeah, we got through this. This was the movie that we all wanted, but we never knew how it was going to be executed.
Yeah.
And the tremendous loss, but yet the proper handling. And when we lost Chadwick, it literally was next person up, and Letitia never had a clue that it would be her. I could imagine she never thought a couple of years ago that, hey, I'm going to have to be the lead in the movie and take care
Right.
of everything, and that's a huge responsibility, huge shoes to fill, and having to do so with a broken heart. I mean, she fantastic job, man, and I hope she get a lot of love to counteract a lot of that hate that she got, because it was unnecessary. I was definitely not on the board for reasons people were hating her. I'm definitely allowed. People can do what they feel is best and whatnot, and I'm not sitting here blaming anything and any of the stupid narratives that I heard. All that matters is that they got this film done, and Letitia did a fantastic job leading as Shuri in this.
Yeah, like you said, she had a big role, a big shoes to fill coming to this movie. Whereas though, like she's been supporting cast for for a while. She's played a big role in those movies, but she was on the side to then taking over as a lead role. Like where those other movies she might have had maybe 20 minutes or so tops compared to the amount of screen time that she's had in this, and like I said, holding it down with Angela Bassett, and just the exchange between all the characters that she has, and the moments, like you said, like uh, but like it's a lot of like good moments like that she has between a lot of the people of Wakanda, and what she's prepared to do going forward. Like you said, like that level of acting, I don't think we got to see in Avengers or Black Panther or anything like that. Like she really takes it to another level
Yeah,
in Wakanda Forever. And where we see there when we was San Diego, when we first see them come out, and those reactions that we got when they first time watching that trailer, all of that is legitimate. Like I said in the review that I did, like this is more than just a movie, a paycheck. This is a legit family on set. Like how they feel is expressed through every single character, especially Letitia, right? Who has the most to grieve here out of everybody. You know what I mean? Because her relationship with not only Chadwick but her brother in the movie itself is a big crucial part of this movie, and you definitely see her express it not only through acting but through her real life experience as well.
yeah, yeah. A couple other folks I just really want to go over, but I want to get into the spoiler stuff, so I'm just going to quickly mention them. Dominique Thorne is Ironheart. I thought that the banter
Mm.
between her, between Riri and Shuri was really good, and I thought that Dominique did a really good job in establishing Riri, so that Riri was not Shuri. And the reason I say that is because we understand that they're both geniuses.
Right.
So what are we about to get here? Just two geniuses throwing ideas off each other, or are we actually going to get two really completely different characters that feel different, that operate different, but can exist in the same space? And that's what I thought they did a fantastic job in
Right.
making sure that they were in their own worlds, but can exist and respect one another. And it was really dope. I mean, that right there, I thought was like some of the
Yeah,
most
I thought
parts
it
of
was
like,
going to be one of those things where they only brought her in to kind of exchange the role, but that's not what that was at all. I mean, they definitely brought her in, and like you said, that she was her own character, but took those elements of Shuri that she already had and it implemented into the role that she's going with going forward. So
yeah,
not only is she, she's stepping up for this big Black Panther role, and plus she's also a freaking genius who can pretty much create anything on the fly. So,
yeah.
it's a lot now. Shuri is definitely, I don't want to say she's GOAT, but she's she's definitely she's going to be a big asset going forward for Avengers and everything going forward.
Yeah. Denying Alex as Atuma and Okoye, they had a fantastic fights in the film. They both stepped up. Denai also really stepped up as well, and as a character that we didn't get a lot from. Now really had to step up in a way to really make an impact
Yeah,
for her emotional toll within this as well too.
true.
So yeah, I want to just get into some of the spoiler stuff now.
Okay.
For so I think the first thing to kind of address is woo, excuse me. The first thing I want to address is, well, we got Namor mentioning that he's a mutant.
Yeah, he said that.
So this is the third. I think this is the third. No, the first is obviously
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
Mm.
And I'm trying to think, was there another nod too? There might have been a nod in She-Hulk. I'm not
She-Hulk,
sure.
yeah. She was like, "Where the mutants or whatever with the X-Men."
Yeah.
At the end of that, yeah.
There we go. And then this is the third one mentioned, but yet him self-proclaimed mutant. So we already know the mutants is on the way. And you know, we'll see more or less when do we get our official introduction to the X-Men. But everybody, you want to know, did he mention a mutant? Yeah, he mentioned that he was a mutant. So there's that. What was another thing we need to talk about? So okay. So there's a scene in the film where we have Riri in Wakanda and everybody's setting up, preparing for um, the battle that they know is to come. And Riri's
Oh
on at her desk, and Shuri's down below on her desk.
yeah.
Riri mentions uh, a very particular interesting tidbit that I didn't initially pick up on and didn't understand the ramifications, but now seeing it again, I totally understand what's going on here. And she mentioned that she's been working on sort of a quantum machine, and you can't just throw quantum out there without
Yeah.
all the eyebrows going up. Um, and that's fine because yeah, we know what it is. We know the relevance of it, but do we understand the connectivity of this? And now knowing that we have Quantumanium coming up next, in the trailer we have a very similar same occurrence happens with what's her name again? Because it just keeps slipping out of my head.
Who, Riri Williams or the
No.
Cassie?
Cassie Lang and Riri Williams seem to have the same type of technology, the same type of device. Something's going on here. So I have a feeling that we're establishing a connection between the future of the Avengers, the Young Avengers, the adventures of the Young Avengers, because looks like Riri's also working on a similar device that we actually see Cassie Lang, which gets them in all the mess that they get into the film.
Right.
So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But it was a mention of that, and I was like, There's also another piece of the puzzle to that as well, too.
Let's
The
not
good
forget
old
we still in that multiverse saga.
yeah. No, we're done. No, we're out of the multiverse saga, sir. That's it.
You sure?
We are done. The
Oh, okay.
multiverse saga. Yeah, this is into the next phase. The next phase, the next saga. We're in hold on, the last saga. Hold on, let's look at this.
I thought the multiverse saga was like everything from like four through six. It was covering that whole thing there. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, double check.
Yeah, we're definitely the first saga was the multiverse saga. No, it was the Infinity saga.
Infinity saga. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of a connection going on between the two of them, and there's also another piece of the puzzle here that I would assume we will get in the Fantastic Four. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
The next thing is it goes into I can't even think of the name. Oh, Nakia. Where Nakia been at? First thing I thought was like, why is Nakia not at the funeral?
Yeah, wow.
But
they definitely fake you out with the trailer though, because they make it seem like she's there.
No, for sure. But Nakia's not at the funeral, and that's obviously a big thing to everybody. She's not really guilted because everybody understands everybody has to kind of grieve in their own way. But it was a lot more than it just being too emotional for her. It was actually because that's the plan that her and the T'Challa had. Because she's been gone for 6 years. And she's been gone for 6 years because they've conceived a kid. And instead of this kid being revealed that he is the son of T'Challa, making him Prince T'Challa, decided to keep him hidden for a while so he wouldn't have to bear that responsibility and kind of keep him off the grid. So with that being said, if they've been gone for 6 years, that makes him arguably 6. He's about 6 years old. It's 5 or 6, depending on what it is. This is also the same boy that when Queen Ramonda went to Haiti, that the 3 kids that greeted her in the courtyard, that was her son there. So and the thing interesting is the thing that's interesting about this is that like now we see that we do have our new T'Challa, but we obviously have an age issue. But I personally think something is going to happen. Here's the thing. Here's what I don't think folks are already considering. M'Baku gets out to challenge for the throne. Shuri didn't show up. By we know if somebody doesn't show up, that technically disqualifies them.
Mm.
So now you have M'Baku on the throne as the king, and now you have the rightful king sitting in the stash. But there's an age discrepancy here because there's no way they're gonna have this little boy face him for the throne. So there's a couple of things I think got to happen here. They got to make him. They have to even make. They have to do something in order for him to even be even considered to win here. So I'm thinking there will be some type of aging going on here. Maybe they do it in the quantum realm. I'm not sure
I
what it
don't I don't
is.
know I don't know if they're gonna age him up, but keep in mind that we're going into a whole thing with Kang, and Kang's a time traveler. They might use that as an excuse to be like, okay, we have an established other Black Panther now. Now we can have somebody else come in and play the son of so and so, for whatever reason. Again, still multiverse situation. So we have him come in and play whatever with do a team up with Shuri or whatever going forward. So like you said, it would be pretty cool. It wouldn't be the first time they aged up a kid. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Stop bringing up Cassie, bro.
I mean, it was post blip, so it was like 5 years. It makes sense. She wouldn't look the same, but
Yeah,
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 see what happens. But yeah, it's a great. Like I said, I hate. I don't want to say they. I mean, they obviously planted that seed. They did. I was saying like kind of similar to Fast and Furious with Lil Brian. You know what I mean? I brought him into that. Keep that going. But now we have another way to keep the memory of T'Challa alive in the MCU. That's the
yeah,
most important part. Is that they have
yeah.
a way to keep T'Challa alive in the MCU.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. We got another T'Challa. It's a young boy. This little boy will not be playing T'Challa. At some point, we will get some teenager or some grown man to step in to be the next iteration of T'Challa and so on. Nakia and Labita is going to look good forever. So no matter how old this kid is, she always going to look her rightful age and it's just fine.
Yeah,
But they got it handled. That's not a problem. We have a path forward with the character, with T'Challa being the king of Wakanda. There obviously is going to be some conflict with him and M'Baku at some point. Shuri obviously is like somebody who understands the situation because remember when Shuri was supposed when Shuri was announced. Also, Usman was there. Anybody seen the cameo? UFC champion Usman was definitely in the back, hanging back there with a little cameo. Kamara Usman. I think that Shuri understands now that the kind of the situation that she has kind of set up because one, they announced her as Princess Shuri. They never named her queen. Only
right.
person that called her queen was Namor. So I think that, now understanding that she isn't the rightful queen, and Baku is technically the king. He wanted to challenge for the throne, but no one was there. And he couldn't challenge her because she didn't show up. And now you do have the rightful heir to the queen, to the throne, and
Right.
the king T'Challa, which is going to be a whole nother thing. So now we know the
I,
conflict with.
I feel like that's going to be a thing where like obviously they had that conversation about where to because obviously she's not ready to deal with that. She's got other stuff to be worried about right now, and we see a glimpse of kind of like M'Baku's like political sense of like how to handle the country and how to deal with certain things.
Mm-hmm,
When he
mm-hmm.
has that conversation with Shuri, like, yeah, that's not the right move. We don't want to keep this going for generations to come. Like, they are inspired by this guy. If we take him out, it's never going to end. You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to end. And all she could think about is like, look, I need to take him out. I don't care what it is. So like I said, she's still young. She needs time to step away from it, maybe come back, and maybe she will be queen, or she'll challenge him to the throne, and Baku for the throne. Because the first thing I thought was like she's probably going to change the rules of the whole challenge thing and some of the traditions that they have. And you kind of see that, by the whole ritual scene, just like, yeah, we don't need to do all that. It's kind of pointless. Let's just
Yeah.
so we see go
Yep.
see a lot of like the changes implemented to Wakanda and how they deal with things going forward.
Yep. Yep. Last of the things is, I mean, everybody was wondering would Killmonger appear? Killmonger being, uh,
Eric,
yeah, he appears because Shuri, obviously, now getting the powers of the Black Panther, and she has to go to the ancestral astral plane, and she ends up seeing him, which makes sense because he wasn't ever buried. She wasn't properly buried, so why would she go to the place where everybody else's goes? But
right.
also, it is. I mean, it's kind of telling because, like, she was always a little bit of both of them. So I thought this was handled right, where we would assume that she would just be like her brother, but she said she's not her brother and she's not actually quite him. And when you also look at the suit also bears colors from both T'Challa's and Killmonger's suit variation. So she's a little bit of the both, and I think that's like that was a good way of actually doing that. I also wasn't a really big fan of Ironheart's suit. I wasn't a big fan of Ironheart's
Yeah,
introduction
we
in
we
battle.
know that was kind of a rush job design. That's not the final version that we're gonna get later, probably in Armor
Yeah,
Wars going forward. So
I mean, yeah, or just Ironheart series. Period.
yeah,
It's just a matter of just a soft introduction because she has her own show coming about. I thought it was really cool that Shuri was using some of T'Challa's moves when fighting Namor. I thought that was kind of paying homage
yeah,
to her brother, which was really dope. Um, but I think the only other thing that I wanted to bring up here was what else? Was there anything else you wanted to bring up before?
yeah, man. I definitely wanted to bring up the whole Queen Ramunda. That scene in this movie between her and Okoye, I feel like was the Oscar winning scene. I'm sure you mentioned it, in your review, but like, man, that was some power behind those words, like, her dealing with, what happened, the ramifications of, the whole thing with, Killmonger, her supporting her and get off the throne, and the stuff with her husband. Like, it just all came out. Like, she's holding on to that for years. Like, she's been wanting to say something to her. And the whole thing with Shuri was the last straw. That scene, man, if it doesn't get an Oscar, I don't know I don't know what will, but yeah, Angela Bassett just kills it in this movie, man. She comes back and again, she's no longer in a supporting role. She is a main role in this movie, and she fills her time every bit of this movie well. And she does an amazing job. Like I said, all the scenes between her and Shuri, all the scenes between her and her interaction with everybody else. Like I said, she just does a really, really, really good job in this movie. So
Yeah,
that despite I didn't think they were going to take her out, but
yeah.
I was like, all right, one death's enough. Like, let's leave it alone. every time we come
Nah,
into
hit it
every
where
time
it
we come into
hurts.
Black Panther, they gonna kill one. So yeah, it sucked. 'Cause I
Yeah,
didn't think, but she was the sacrifice for Riri, and I think that's going to be her story, one of her stories going forward, and her inspiration for doing what she does.
yep. Lost her dad, and now lost her the person who gave her a second chance. I definitely agree. Speaking of connections here, Valentina De La Fonte,
Mm.
who is basically playing a trumper. And the reason I call her a trumper because man, she wanted to blame Wakanda for everything. She was just like, "Oh, it's the black people. They did it. They did it. They
Yeah,
did it. It's the black
it just
people.
makes
They
sense
blame
with
them
them.
every
Yeah,
time, every single time. Blame them." But obviously, this is the connection to the Thunderbolt. So we'll see. Because I feel like we're gonna need another introduction at some point, probably something on Disney Plus. But this was the soft introduction in terms of where we're going forward with that.
right. I feel like it was something else that really bothered me that they did explain the whole hypnotic song thing. I don't really think they got into it at all, and they kind of broke it with the inputs, but never explained what it was or how it was caused. Was it ability of the people or what? Like,
Yeah, the Tolikans, that's one of their abilities. I mean, and it makes sense because underwater and being able to project different sounds and whatnot, and
right,
different frequencies can handle different things. So I thought it was dope. First of all, I have to say that everything with the Tolikans, I thought that their introduction kind of came off like a horror film. It was just dark and kind of gritty at times, and just it was I was a huge fan of them taking over the ship. That was an amazing introduction, coming out of the water in the dark.
Super cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like the parallels obviously between Wakanda and their people as well. Like, where they had a similar what they call the meteorite, the vibranium. Also, they found a different way to use it. And they kind of went a different path with it. So, like, I said, underwater, the Wakandans underwater, basically, but they were like the mutation of, like, whatever the plant was they had that grew underwater.
Yeah.
So, and also grew my other question was, like, does the vibranium just take on the properties of, like, wherever it grows? Because, like, they had the plant underwater, and then, of course, like, where it grew in Wakanda, it has different properties that gives, the same abilities for the Black Panther. So I just thought that was interesting, like, based off wherever that plant is, wherever it grows, that it would give them different abilities because it turned them blue.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I think that's all I got. I mean, I know people were asking about Dr. Doom, and I feel like there was references.
Latveria was close to the I'm like, all right.
Everyone feels like Dr. Doom's gonna be the next villain. I mean, they did mention other powerful nations, so I mean that's as close as you're gonna get with that. I still think there's another end credit scene. The screeners have not. I just feels like you could just to me the sense is like there's something missing after we're done with the film. Like there's something else that we could be getting. And maybe it's Dr. Doom, maybe it's not, but like Dr. Doom, no references, but kind of little things.
Really chose to have this movie kind of closed off from the rest of the world, which is weird because, like, we've kind of gone beyond that point. But I understand respectfully, like, where they wanted to keep this kind of tight within that world specifically and not have other heroes. Because, I mean, one, they couldn't really involve anybody else without it causing a war. That was kind of the main reason why you probably didn't get other Avenger level heroes and stuff like that got involved. But like I said, when you have that push of a button with the friends that you can just call, why would they avoid that? But like I said, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, we just gonna let it be a Wakanda issue.
Yeah, because I mean, like, after losing T'Challa and then losing Queen Ramonda, I would think homies would have been like, hey, we're gonna play a visit. It looks like things getting a little crazy out there. I mean, if anybody, at least like the Winter Soldier, I mean, like, bro, they kind of did like get you back on your feet, bro. Like,
so get that new arm, especially it depends on where the timeline is on this too, because like they don't really say where it is in between those stories or if it's after or before anything, but they just gave because they just show up, like you said, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then we see the whole thing with Falcon getting the new suit upgrade and everything like that. So it might be that might be before all of this happens. So that makes sense. So
yeah. Anyway, we talked a lot. Check out our non-spoiler reviews. And jump in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about the film, other theories that you may have, other things you was able to connect in the film, all those good things. But hopefully you enjoyed the film. Hopefully you come off all of the negativity that folks are giving in terms of just like, oh, this is super woke and all this other stuff. Listen, this is a celebration of Chadwick, and we're still telling good stories in terms of the MCU. And I think that with that, that's enough to be satisfied and happy with. And there's good action, good storytelling, good emotion, good performances, and then good connecting possibilities with everything they introduced with this. Oh man, there's a lot of things that they can do. Just a matter of when and where. But yeah, until the next review, folks, thank y'all so much for tuning in for this one. We'll see you back very soon. Big old bell.